I just woke up this morning. Sounds a little bluesy, and it was like just there. Welcome back. This is part 2 of this portrait of me done by badbillyrecords, and this time I will start to introduce to my guitar. I bought this guitar just before I joined the GODLESS CREEPS. It's a hollow body and it's a Samick. It's a very cheap one. I bought it because I actually wanted a Gretsch, but I couldn't afford that. So I bought this one instead. It was born with the humbug pickups, and I changed them to these Dick Dale 1961 single coils because they had a better sound. And I was playing in a band called BUNDHOLDET, which means like bottom of the league or something like that, Danish punk music. Me and a friend, Thomas, was playing together, and I bought an electric bass, and he bought a guitar, some cheap ones, also just some copies, and we just started to play away. And what we really liked was of course the Misfits, and it was like just to learn how to play very simple. Because we didn't have the time or the motivation to sit and be totally nerdy about learning how to play guitar and stuff like that. So it was just like these power chords, 2-string power chords, and in that way we could play anything, you know, like attitude. You got to fucking attitude. Can't believe what you say to me, it's an attitude. Right? Says it never mind, it's a terrible thing, it's a transformation of what you get. Not a body of a man from earth, never face of a one you love, lighten into her marching. Oh, yeah, and it was actually, we discovered that later when we learned to play full power chords. That's actually easier to play, but we thought in the beginning that it was so easy, you know. So he always left his guitar at my place. So I just picked it up at night when he left for his home, and I was just fooling around with this Depeche Mode music notes book that I had from when I was playing keyboards. And that was like it was also shown how to play chords, and that's how I learned to play open chords. And I had a delay pedal, and I just had a lot of fun with playing. I told myself so many times before, but this time I think I need it for sure. You have reached the first floor. Nothing's gonna save us from the ground. I'm not going down my knees, begging you to adore me. Can't you see it's misery, torture for me? Right, and just had a lot of fun with that, playing these Depeche Mode songs that I really knew as being techno pop songs. I just played them as these jazzy or whatever funny versions with a delay. And but what I mostly discovered was that before that, when I was writing songs, I would just sit with the bass or the guitar and figure out some chords and stuff like that. But by doing this, I discovered that all these advanced techno pop songs with a lot of machine sounds and a lot of effects and stuff like that was actually just written on an acoustic guitar. And it was you could sit around a bonfire and play it on an acoustic guitar. And from there on, I just started to write songs in my head instead. I even because it was before everybody had mobile phones, but I had an answering machine for my phone. And if I had a good idea, I would run to a phone booth and call myself and then Omid on the tape. And when I came back, I just listened to it and yeah, that's good, you know. Then later I discovered that I just worked on the idea in my head one day if I had an idea, and then if I couldn't remember it the day after, it wasn't that good. So from there on, I just learned these full power chords, and I listened a lot to the Quakes, which inspired me a lot. And it was like, you know, these... What do you want to do? Way down late at night. Well, you better be prepared for a ride. Well, I got to go, beat you down, face you underground. Well, I want you once, I want you twice, you will take my advice. And then the fast part. And so on. Yeah, it took me right over to Right. Yeah, we actually recorded this song with the BUNDHOLDET back then, actually. Maybe we can have a listen. Okay, so it took me further to play single strings and to try to play some fast psychobilly riffs. I was really inspired by Peter Sandorf of Necromantics. Well, the one morning I saw this good. I had this bad headache, but I couldn't sleep. reaching up on shots and they want me to go. Long time away, at least there was a ball. Well, every summer it sees me, my heart is racing. Well, every summer it sees me, it makes me really good. Well, every summer it sees me, my heart is racing. Well, every summer it sees me, it makes me really good. As a sideline to that fast style, I was also inspired by the Meteors a lot, like with the it's a bluesy kind of fast rockabilly, probably inspired by blues, yeah. Got the telly on, it just shows all crap. Feel tied to the grave where I meet my friends to hang out for a while till the sunrise again. Take a look at me, so I can use to the moment to let's fly here through. I can stay all night, just sitting tight. Got my favorite grave and got some of these things. In there, yeah. So I had these. I wanted to learn how to play some solos, and I knew these power chords. And you have the major, and then you have the minor, and then you just use the 3 thin strings, right? From that on, it was easy, like flying high past my space, got my taste of human race. I'm in for food that is bad, flying high past my bad. Yeah. Also, I really like this, like Scotty Moore. I started to listen to some Elvis more. Actually, my dad used to say when I was a kid that, and when I started to listen to more industrial music, he always said, one day you're gonna come home and you're gonna ask for the first Elvis album. I said, no, no, I'm never gonna do that. And I moved out of my parents' house. I also started to listen to some rockabilly and stuff like that. And I discovered that the early Elvis was really cool. And I had to, with my head down, walk the way back home to my parents, ring the doorbell. My dad opened the door and I was like, hey Dad, don't ask, I would like to borrow the first Elvis album. And he was like, don't mention it, you know. So, but anyway, it was like, I really liked it. In the bar, around, let's get it on. Well, how's my pal? Well, I'm a redneck boy to a job. I'm a redneck who's down, I'm a redneck boy to this good. I'm again. There's one names that I pissed my boots on. But then again, as I said earlier, the most important thing was the songwriting, and I was really trying to improve my songwriting skills. And one morning we were supposed to, we did play with the Necromantics one Saturday night. This was Saturday morning. I just woke up with this idea in my head, and so on, yeah. Same solo structure again. And as I was on about in the first part, when we came to the Hysterio, before when we wrote songs, somebody came up with an idea almost like for a whole song, and some was like some riffs and some ideas, and then we worked it out together or something like that. And with Hysterio it was really different, and I remember I had this idea. And I really liked it, and we played it in the rehearsal room, but the song never made it, you know. It was like we used it later for Johnny Nightmare. It was called Restless.
Well, I'm in my room on a Saturday night, where the radio goes on a piece at a time, and the old man sitting in a rocking chair, all dressed up, and my hair is right. I got my yellow cape and my pants so tight, and the old man sitting in a rocking chair. Guess I'm out of number, one of the kind you find as you are beside. I got my lucky number, and it's 666. Well, I'll show you one day. And school was hell, I got beaten up, I was sitting well, just about to drop, and the old man sitting in a rocking chair, living it out for so many years. That's what I'm all about, no crying, no tears, and the old man sitting in a rocking chair. Cause I'm out of number, one of a kind you find as you are, they said. I got my lucky number, and it's 666. Well, I'll show you one day. I was raised by violent video games, horror movies, and granddaddy's rockabilly records. I was raised by me! Cause I'm out of number, one of a kind you'll find as you are, they said. I got my lucky number, and it's 666. I'll show you one day. I got my lucky number, and it's 666.
This was Restless, Johnny Nightmare. I'll talk about Johnny Nightmare, the next one, chapter 3. Funny thing about this riff for this song is that it turned out to be, in my opinion, one of the best Johnny Nightmare songs, musically, lyrically, everything. But the riff was actually written already back in the Godless Wicked Creeps days when we were writing songs for Hysterio. And I thought it was really nice. It was fast, rocky, rockabilly-like, but really true to the psychobilly style. And introduced it in the rehearsal room, and we had fun with it, and it brought smiles on all faces. But I guess we were just moving in a different direction at that time, so that song was never used. If you listen to Hysterio, it pretty much makes sense anyway. All the way since the Alcoholic days, I was playing country music with a friend of mine called Axel. We just met once a week or once every 14 days, just jamming a little bit with the two guitars. We met another guy called Søren, who later became the drummer of Bullet. He was playing in a country band, a cover band called the Stetson 5. Great name, by the way. Just playing at parties and bars and stuff like that. He was in on trying to make some, play a little bit more cowpunk and stuff like that. And Axel was also in on writing some songs together. And this was kind of in the Hysterio period of the Godless Wicked Creeps. We actually, at that time, we were called the Mule Kickers. And we recorded I'll Be a Mule Kicker Till the Day I Die on a Crazy Love Records compilation. It was a good thing for me in the Godless Wicked Creeps period that was not so much fun. This was refreshing. When I got there at last, the bloody market was closed down, and I was wondering, hey, should I get home? Then I'd be riding on that road that would be my destiny, and I will never get a horse. I'll be a mule kicker till the day I die. And then I went to get his empty last job. Boy, was I in Cannon camera one. Then it hit me right between the eyes. Hey, you know, folks, with a camera, it's not invented yet. Shuffled a deck of cards, and I threw down 5 aces. And he told me, son, just kick your last mule. Then I found myself in the middle of the street. I was 10 feet away from heaven or hell. Then he pulled his trigger, now I'm sitting on a cloud, and I see the point of my life. And I'll be riding on that road that will be my destiny, and I will never get a horse. I'll be a mule kicker till the day I die. Till the day I die. And Axel didn't have so much time to put into it, so another guy from the Stetson 5 band, Kasper, a guitar player of course, he was asked if he wanted to join in just for a test, and we sent him the demo. No, we sent in the recording for the I'll Be a Mule Kicker Till the Day I Die. And when we met in the rehearsal room, he just took it so much further. He just had it right away. I think he listened to it a couple of times, and that was it. And we had a few ideas that we were working on, and we worked on those with Casper at that first session, and it was like he was just, you know, show the man a few simple ideas. The melody is gonna be like this, and he just figured out something on his guitar. It was really cool. He was really good at playing this country style. So yeah, so he joined the band. Quickly, we started to hang out a lot, me and Casper, more than I actually hung out with Søren, the drummer. And we just wrote a lot of songs together. It was a completely different songwriting process than I had before. Here we just met up, and we just had maybe a little idea for a chorus or something like that. I would sing it to him. We would just sit with each guitar. Each of us had a guitar, and like right away he would just figure out a theme for the song. It was so easy, and it was really brilliant, you know. And we wrote all the songs for Elevator Hayride in no time. It was really funny, a really cool process. And yeah, so I split with Godless Wicked Creeps. And I think I mentioned that in the first chapter, that in some periods of time I wanted some break for the music, and the actual reason why I left the Godless Wicked Creeps also was because I wanted to just play low key for a while. I didn't really succeed with that, because now Bullet got really exciting. So very fast, we had so much fun in that period, you know. We drank so much. It was like a rehearsal 2 or 3 times a week. Every time went into town afterwards, playing pool and drinking, and it was like one even bigger party than Godless Wicked Creeps. It was really, really fun, and we were so much together that maybe that also killed the band. Not slowly, but actually fast from the beginning. And we recorded the Elevator Hayride in 10 days in a studio called Big Am Studio. It's a guy called Mads who had it. He's a live sound engineer for Volbeat, and he just made a few albums at his studio. The next one was actually the first Power Solo album. So it was a cool place. It was in the countryside, and we could live there. It was at his parents' house, and there was a whole building was just for the studio, and there was a big room where we could sleep. And the first night we came out in the afternoon and put up our gear and got a hole through, just made a few sound checks and stuff like that. And we bought 1 case of beers and 1 bottle of whiskey. And we thought that this will last for many days, because we're going to be serious about this recording. And we just, after that, we had a beer each, and Mads said, well, I'll leave you to it, I'll go to bed and be fresh in the morning. And we also went to bed. It was really early, and then like 5 minutes after, someone said, "Are you sleeping?" And then the rest was, no, we can't sleep. And that was the end of the first case of beers and the first bottle of whiskey. And so that was actually the whole process was like this, you know. And we just drank like hell, and we spent so much time. It was so intense, and we had so many conflicts also, beginning and the end of it, because we were so tired and so drunk all the time. and even that, I'm definitely sure that was like the beginning of the end already there. Yeah.
why he drank himself to death. There was nobody to moan or to cry. He wanted it so badly, but his mama told him no. His father said he took her money and ran.
Well, it was pretty well received actually. So this was now like in the email period, right? There was no like that much of social media. There was the Wrecking Pit website where you could write some comments and people would have some chats there. And we did have some mails from people saying it's brilliant, it's a great album, it's some totally different than Godless Wicked Creeps, blah blah blah, which we of course expected. And yeah, we had some few local gigs, and then we had a couple of major gigs in Germany, some pretty big festivals. But it was clear that it was still very close to the Godless Wicked Creeps period. It was really hard to get rid of this Godless Wicked Creeps ghost. And of course it was also a different style. It was way much different. But anyway, it was pretty good. And we were talking about doing an EP, and we already wrote 4 or 5 songs, and then just before the last of these festivals we just wrote a lot more songs actually. And then on the way back from this tour, I remember we were talking about let's make an album instead. And the album was supposed to be called The Movie, and we already did the contract and everything. But then again, we had pretty like a lot of disagreements in the band about how it should be run and stuff like that. It was really stupid actually looking back. I think my part of it also was I know that back in those days I was probably a lot more without compromise. I still am, but not in that sense. Back then I was really I wanted like this, you know, and we just didn't fit together. So actually, I think 1 week before the studio we broke up. Studio was booked, everything was ready. So yeah, that was a bit of a pity. But here last year in 21 we re-released Elevator Hayride, and early this year in 22 we released the 7-inch with 4 leftover songs from what should have been the second album. Yeah, and surprisingly, the Elevator Hayride was really sold well in the second time here on vinyl. We really received a lot of messages and you know, comments from people that, oh great, we've been waiting for this, and that was really nice. But finally I got my break from music, at least for a short period of time. I was working in a youth club somewhere, and I met this guy called Henrik, and he used to play in a punk band. He was a huge Misfits fan, and I am too. Yeah, we thought, yeah, let's play together. Let's make a Misfits cover band. That could be really fun. So we did that, and he knew a drummer and he knew a singer, So I just had like a more defensive role. I was just playing guitar in the back, and that was also fun to try that. We made a demo, and which is lost, and we played one show, and we did it like we started with the first song was She, and then we had some TV casualties, hybrid moments, Angel Fuck, those early Misfit songs, then over to Horror Business, Teenagers from Mars, and then a whole bunch of songs from the Walk Among Us album, and then we ended up playing some of the Wolfblood Earth AD songs, and the last song on the set was Demonomania. So yeah, that was really fun. Kind of brought back the taste for playing music again, and together with Henrik and his wife, who was a drummer, we made a band called SPENZER. That was pretty cool, and we played together for quite some years, because this was also in the period of time when I had my first son in 2002, and I had twins in 2005. So music was low key, but we managed to play together. They had kids also. And we could actually play at their home, because they had like a house outside the house, like in the garden. So we could go there and play. That was pretty cool. And sort of just, yeah, we wrote a lot of stuff. It was like tending to be like some American punk rock stuff. We also played actually 3 of those songs of the old Bullet songs that should have been on the second album. We used those. We did quite a few shows also, just in Denmark. Pretty good, pretty cool. We played some festivals and stuff like that, and slowly began to have a name. But yeah, and then in the end, I actually wanted more. We actually had like this gas station kind of atmosphere to it, and also that was also the style, outfit and stuff like that, you know, with overalls and caps, and looking some southern boys, you know, playing rock and roll. Anyway, one day I was phoned after rehearsal. It was a guy called Mads, I know, who's been doing a lot in the Aarhus, Denmark, the underground, booking bands. He's also a musician himself. Asked me if I wanted to play psychobilly again. And I was like, no, that's impossible. I have 3 small children and this band, and it's no go. Why are you asking? And he was like, yeah, it's a guy called Bjørn and another guy called Jakob. They want to know if you want to play bass and be a vocalist in the psychobilly project. I was like, you can call them back and say thank you, but no thank you, you know. A short while after, we actually played a show in Aarhus, and Jakob and Bjørn came to me afterwards and said, oh, it was a good show, it was great to see you on stage. By the way, we're the guys who told Mads, I think he phoned you about playing in psychobilly. Oh yeah, you guys, yeah. I said, no man, and they were like, come on, please. And I was like, no, it's you can borrow my bass if that's any help, if you find somebody who wants to learn how to play bass or something like that, but I can't, you know. And then after a week or 2 weeks time, I was thinking about if I'm gonna do something with music again here in the almost winter time of my youth. It should be psychobilly. I have a name, I have contacts, I know a lot of people in this psychobilly scene, and I actually rang them and said, okay, let's make some trouble. That was the birth of Johnny Nightmare. So if you want the Johnny Nightmare story, stay tuned for the part 3, and thanks for watching this. Bad Billy Records, you are the main.
I was raised in hell. I walk the streets of Salem amongst the living dead. I need no one to tell me what's wrong or right. I drink the blood of children, stop me praying at night. Look out, beware, with a full moon shine bright. Every way I'm there, every shadow in the night. Evil, in league with Satan. 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 I love you, Satan.